My name's Craig Morrison, and I'm the executive producer and game director for Age of Conan. I think we're really starting to realize the potential in the game, and we've obviously spent a lot of time over the last year working on all the concerns and issues that players brought up when the game launched last year. You know, we spent a lot of time going through the players' feedback and figuring out what areas of it was that didn't make the players stick around and necessarily keep playing the game. We've added a lot of new content. We've addressed the stability and performance issues, so the client now runs stably and people can play the game. So I think players who come back today would see a very different game than they played last summer. I think when it comes to whether we balance against content or bug fixing or looking at the balance of the classes and things like that, it's actually a fairly even split when it comes to what we put into each major game update. You know, we have over 100 people working on Age of Conan still, and it means that we can create new content at the same time of looking at the players' issues and addressing bugs and improving the performance and improving the general gameplay as well. I think the mentoring system, it has been improved since the game's launch, but there's probably still some areas where we'd like it to be a bit more seamless because at the moment players have to redo it every time they change zones, for example, and we'd like to be able to move to where they will continue to stay with their friend and they won't have to remember when they move into a new area, oh, I've got to remember to tag him again. So yes, it's something we're looking at and we'll continue to improve through the future updates. PvP is something we always try and make sure that we're adding new and unique elements to in each game update. I think the PvP options in Tarantula Commons, for example, and the rooftops really adds a great new element to that open world PvP. It adds a much more dynamic area for players to PvP in. But then we also have the addition of specific PvP systems. And for the next game update cycle, we'll very much be looking at adding more very specific goals and objectives into the Border Kingdoms, which is one of our PvP areas in the game. And what we're doing is we're looking at one of the features that was talked about prior to the launch, but was actually cut due to it not quite working and it not being a thing. And we've resurrected that design, which is having towers, which are smaller than the siege battle keeps that the big guilds fight over. And we're looking at resurrecting the design of having smaller tower objectives in the Border Kingdoms so that smaller guilds and small groups and individuals can fight over those locations without all the time and resource that's required to dedicate to a battle. I think there's definitely going to be content going past level 80, and you're going to have to wait a little bit longer to hear about it. We will be discussing the kind of content that we're going to be putting into our expansion pack in August. We're going to be revealing that at a few games conventions, both in Germany and in the US. I can't really say too much in terms of the expansion, but yes, of course, when you add an expansion, there will of course be new game areas that the players will be able to explore. And we're also going to be adding new areas before that in the live game as well. We have areas like House of Crom, which is a social dungeon and a level 80 instance dungeon with two halves, where the first half players will be able to cooperate in a kind of multi-group environment as a kind of stepping stone for raids, where several groups have to work together in a social dungeon to beat several bosses and play through. And that, again, that's high-level content. And we'll also be putting out a new raid area for the players who enjoy the raid content in Tothamon's Stronghold. So there's actually content coming to the live game as well, outside of the expansion work. In the next game update, one of the big key focuses for us is going to be guilds. And it's one of the areas that we really want to improve on and add more objectives for the guilds to take part in, something that incentivizes and drives their gameplay on a daily basis. So what you'll see in the next update cycle is a system which will allow the guilds to work towards goals as an entire guild, but both from a point of view of things they have to cooperate on and individually as a solo player. So as a solo player in the guild, everything that you do will count towards some guild goals and objectives. And that's a system that we'll be talking about a lot more over the next coming months as it gets closer to the test servers. To our fans, thank you very much for a wonderful year and your continued support. We've come a long way this year and we're looking forward to going further. And to those who've played the game or maybe haven't played the game at all and are thinking about coming and checking it out, I'd say there'd never be a better time to come back and see what is in store for you in Hyborian.